Sims at 7 Chapter 1. Sim logs on at exactly 7 p.m. every single day. If you're reading this, congratulations. You've officially stepped inside the digital panic room that is my life. My name is Simon Waverly, but online I'm known simply as Sim. A name that says, casual gamer, probably underwhelming, and yes, my username was auto-generated and I forgot to change it. I live alone, unless you count Sandra, my potted cactus who once survived a LAN party-induced water shortage and now watches me with the same judgmental energy as my 5th grade gym teacher. You know the one, always yelling about core strength, like it's a religion. Anyway. Every night, at precisely 7 p.m., I log into the digital fever dream known as Secondscape, a massively multiplayer virtual universe full of wizards, bounty hunters, amateur philosophers, and, last I checked, at least one guy who only speaks in outdated Vine quotes. And why 7 p.m.? Because routines are important, Brenda. Also, because at 6:59 p.m., my real life still technically exists. 6:59 p.m. IRL microwave lasagna, consume. Slack. Silenced. Brain. Preparing for departure. Cactus. Watered, probably unnecessarily. I sit at my desk like a man preparing to blast off into space, except instead of a helmet I'm wearing headphones duct taped at one ear, and instead of a launch countdown, I have exactly 1 minute of existential dread. The moment the clock hits 7 p.m., I slam the enter key like it owes me rent. Logging into Secondscape, greater than welcome back, Toast King Sim. Would you like to continue ruling your carbohydrate empire? Yes, my sweet pixelated children, I whisper. I appear inside my guild hall, which I built out of glitchy bricks and pride. The music swells. A horn plays dramatically, but it's just Doug the Bard practicing again. I keep meaning to mute him, but he's also our only healer. There, standing before me, are the faithful few, my guild. We call ourselves the Sim Nation because democracy is dead and I accidentally clicked the Create Cult toggle during beta testing. Guild chat. Greater than Sport Queen. You late by 14 seconds, you good? Greater than Toast King Sim. I was making eye contact with my cactus. It was intense. Greater than Dumb Knight 420. Lol cactus therapy. Greater than Doug the Bard. Anyone want to hear my new ballad? Lament of the Lag. Greater than Sport Queen. Hard past. Greater than Toast King Sim. Let's begin the sacred toast ceremony. Greater than Dumb Knight 420. Bread me, my king. We gather in a circle and, as is tradition, throw toast slices into the lava pit. The origin of this ritual is murky, but I'm pretty sure it started as a joke and then got canonized in a wiki article by an overenthusiastic guild historian named Barry. Let the croutons of chaos rise. I shout. Yes. That is our sacred chant. Don't judge me, you're the one still reading this. Back IRL, there's a knock at my door. I ignore it, assuming it's either a neighbor asking about my internet usage, it's a lot, or the ghost of productivity past. Back in game, chaos is brewing. Someone from the rival guild Vegan Valor has been spotted near our sacred breadlands. I want to say I handle it with the poise of a leader. But instead, I scream, treachery, in all caps and accidentally cast a fire spell on Sport Queen's cat. To be fair, the cat had it coming. It had been scratching the guild furniture again. Error message. Greater than friendly fire is not so friendly. You've been fined 3 slices of toast. At this point, I should probably explain why toast is such a big deal in Secondscape. I won't. Just know that I once lost a duel because I equipped gluten-free bread, and the system registered that as emotionally unstable carbs. New notification. Greater than you've been mentioned in global chat. Greater than, yo, is Toast King Sim the guy who ranted for 14 minutes about baguette supremacy last week? Fame. It's a prison made of carbs. Anyway, my grandma calls mid-raid. Her ringtone is a sound clip of me saying, please stop sending me emails about pyramid schemes. She thinks it's hilarious. I answer on speaker while dodging a pixelated wyvern. Are you eating properly? She asks. I'm currently in combat, I hiss. That's not an answer. Then she hangs up. No goodbye. Just pure grandma energy. One day, she's going to log in and outscore me on the PvP leaderboard, and honestly, I fear that day. At 8:03 p.m., I log out. Not because I want to. Because my system crashes every night after an hour, as if it's saying, that's enough nonsense for one evening, sir. I sit in the glow of the monitor, surrounded by crumbs, bad decisions, and one incredibly supportive cactus. Sandra's tilted slightly to the left. That's how I know she's proud. Patch notes 1.0.1 adjusted emotional damage from toast-related insults. Fixed bug where Guildcat could steal your soul. Added new emote. Existential shrug reduced cooldown on awkward silence by 50%. Final thought of the night. If life is a game, I'm still stuck in the tutorial. But at least I've got toast. Chapter 2. Loading screen philosophy. Sim's deepest thoughts come from progress bars. The thing about loading screens is, they're the last place on Earth, or the metaverse, where you're forced to do nothing and think about everything. Which is dangerous. Because the human brain, when left unsupervised for even 11 seconds, will start asking things like, do croutons feel pain? Why did I say, you too, when the cashier said, enjoy your meal? Am I a good guild leader, or do they just tolerate me because I give out free toast? This is why every time Secondscape hits me with a loading screen, especially that slow, stuttering one with the spinning goat icon, I descend into what I call progress bar purgatory. Loading, 12%. My avatar hovers, frozen in mid-squat, like he's about to poop out enlightenment. And that's when it begins. I stare into the void, and the void says, greater than, tip 33. Not every side quest is worth doing. Especially if it involves frogs, honestly. That's fair. Frogs in Secondscape are evil. They croak in riddles and explode on contact. I once lost 3 guild members and half a picnic trying to complete the Amphibian Accord. Loading, 23%, greater than, did you know? You've spent 1,202 hours in Secondscape. That's 50 days. That's, wow. Okay, rude. That's not a tip, that's an intervention wearing a fun font. I try not to think about how many of those hours were spent trying to organize my virtual inventory, which includes 4 pairs of the same pants, each with slightly different agility stats. A suspiciously moist baguette labeled legendary, and one haunted kazoo I picked up from a ghost pirate bar named Jeff. Loading, 38%. I glance over at Sandra the cactus, who's sitting on the windowsill like she's watching the universe unfold. Cacti are great listeners. Mostly because they can't talk back. I once had a roommate who tried to give me unsolicited life advice every time I opened a granola bar. He said things like, greater than, are you really hungry or just emotionally vacant? He moved out after I gave his goldfish admin rights in the game. I regret nothing. Loading, 52%. Greater than, tip 77. Sometimes you must let go of gear that no longer serves you. Cue dramatic zoom in on my face as I stare at the +2 confidence boots I've worn for 6 years. They're ugly. They squeak. They attract digital raccoons. But they're mine. Letting them go would be like deleting a part of my soul. Or, worse, reorganizing my sock drawer in real life. Loading, 71%, sudden glitch. My avatar's arm stretches out unnaturally and begins rotating like a windmill having a breakdown. I pause. I breathe. I whisper to Sandra, it's happening again. She offers no advice. Typical. Loading, 84%. Greater than. Quote of the day. To be is to be perceived, inside a laggy MMORPG. Virtual Socrates philosophy aside, I think Virtual Socrates got banned last month for repeatedly typing, is anyone truly free? In trade chat. Still, the idea sticks with me. What if our entire identity is just A series of loading screens. Birth. Spawning. Adolescence. Installing updates. Adulthood. System error. Please try again. Retirement. Congratulations. You've unlocked gardening mode. Loading. 93%. I check my reflection in the monitor. Big mistake. There's a faint smear of toast crumbs on my cheek. I look like a man who lost a battle to breakfast and decided to make it fashion. Also, my shirt says, 404, motivation not found. I didn't buy it ironically. That's the worst part. Loading, 100%. Entering the BREADLANDS, I'm back in. My digital self lands with a thud in the sacred toast fields, where the golden loaves sway in the pixelated breeze and the sky smells faintly of butter. But I can't shake the thoughts from the load screen. Maybe I have spent too much time online. Maybe I'm running from something. Or maybe I just really like pretending to be a toast king while yelling at fictional squirrels. Sims in-game journal entry. Day 1202. Contemplated existence while staring at a goat icon. Decided life's too short not to wear squeaky confidence boots. Also, still haven't found Jeff's Kazoo sequel quest. Tomorrow. Embrace the lag. Patch notes 2.0.1 buffed emotional depth of loading screens. Fixed bug where cactus could judge player. Added 17 new philosophical tips, including YOLO is a valid lifestyle choice in PvP zones. Reduced existential crisis spawn rate by 4%. Final thought of the night. Life is just one big load screen. Sometimes it glitches. Sometimes it loops. But if you stare at it long enough, you might just find the meaning of toast. Chapter 3. Cactus Therapy meets Sandra, Sims only IRL friend. There are two types of people in this world. 1. People who have friends. 2. People who have plants with names and deep emotional arcs. Guess which one I am? Her name is Sandra, and she's a cactus. Species. Unknown. Personality. Prickly but wise. Height. 6 inches. Survival rate. 128%. Emotional support ranking. 10 out of 10. Sandra has been with me through everything. My failed side hustle selling NFTs of fantasy toast. That time I cried because I stepped on my own headset. The great chili spill of 2022. Rip white carpet, and every nightly login to Secondscape, where she sits, unwavering, by my monitor like a tiny green therapist who charges nothing and silently judges me. People say, talking to plants helps them grow. I don't know if that's true. But I do know this. Sandra has thrived on my oversharing. Every night after logging off, I tell her everything. Greater than, they nerfed my cloak again, Sandra. Greater than, Doug played his kazoo ballad for 40 minutes, and no one had the heart to mute him. Greater than, someone in the guild said I look like a microwave technician IRL. Is that an insult? Should I be offended or flattered? Greater than, also, I may have fallen in love with Pixel Vixen 99, but she might be my boss. Again, Sandra says nothing. She never interrupts. Never gaslights me. Just stares with a steady, photosynthetic calm like, greater than, you're a mess, Sim, but you're my mess. Therapy log. Session 72 patient. Simon Waverly therapist. Sandra progress. Questionable me. Am I socially awkward, or just ahead of my time? Sandra. No response. Me. I'm sensing judgment. Sandra. Still nothing. Possibly photosynthesizing. I once went on a very real, very awkward coffee date. I wore a nice shirt and everything, by which I mean I wore my usual hoodie but zipped it halfway, which is the formal wear of the emotionally unavailable. Mid-date, she asked what I do for fun. I said, without blinking, I lead a virtual toast-based monarchy. She blinked 6 times, then said she had to go feed her aunt's ferret. I went home and immediately recapped the entire thing to Sandra. She leaned slightly to the left that night. I took it as compassionate disappointment. Some people have journals. Some people have therapists. I have a cactus with a ceramic pot that says, photosynthesizing my feelings. I didn't buy it ironically. Also, Sandra is immortal. I've watered her approximately 4 times in 3 years, and she continues to defy science, death, and loneliness like a green middle finger to entropy. One time, I bumped her off the desk while trying to reenact a battle cry. Spoiler. My battle cry sounds a lot like a hiccup and a sneeze had a baby. Sandra fell. Bounced. Landed upright. Like a legend. I apologized. She forgave me, I assume. Fun fact. In Secondscape, I tried to create a digital version of her. The system generated a sentient plant that tried to overthrow my guild within 30 minutes. We do not speak of SANDR4X. You may be wondering, Sim, are you okay? No, but also yes. Because if you've ever come home to an empty apartment, dumped your backpack on the floor like it personally offended you, and looked at a tiny, indifferent plant who makes no demands and quietly exists, that's real comfort. Sandra's not just a cactus. She's a symbol of resilience, of awkward companionship, of what happens when you let something grow just by being consistently weird around it. Life tip 12. Don't trust a man who doesn't name his houseplants. He's either emotionally vacant or a minimalist, and I'm not sure which is worse. Sometimes, when I feel especially low, like after I lose a guild vote to ban Doug's kazoo solos, I whisper, greater than. If no one else believes in me, I know Sandra does. And she just sits there. Majestic. Spiky. Photosynthesizing her truth. Patch notes 3.3.2 buffed cactus moral support aura, plus 2.0 passive resilience, reduced sarcasm cooldown on Sandra. Not that she needed it, added pet pot customization, ceramic, terracotta, sentient skull, new emote. Succulent side-eye final thought of the night. Maybe I don't have a social life. Maybe I talk to plants. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly the kind of therapy this world needs.